"Sir, you need to move. That seat isn't for people like you." The words cut through gate 47 like a blade. Kevin Washington stood motionless, his crisp white shirt catching the harsh terminal lighting. His boarding pass read 2A first class. His skin told a different story to the blonde gate agent staring him down. Caroline Matthews, 20-some with a company smile turned weapon, raised her voice. "These tickets cost $4,800. Are you sure you didn't find this somewhere?" 200 passengers turned. Phones emerged from purses. The morning crowd at Denver International had found their entertainment. Kevin adjusted his platinum cuff links, the ones with the subtle KW monogram, and said nothing. His calm felt dangerous. His silence spoke volumes. The question hung in recycled air. How does a man maintain such composure when the world decides he doesn't belong? Have you ever been judged by your appearance in the most public, humiliating way possible? Caroline's voice carried across the gate area like a public announcement. "We've had problems with fraudulent upgrades lately. I need to verify this ticket wasn't acquired improperly." The word acquired dripped with implication. Kevin's jaw tightened imperceptibly. His PC Philip watch, limited edition, worth more than most cars, caught the fluorescent light as he checked the time. "Step aside, please," Caroline continued, her tone shifting from suspicious to commanding for other passengers' comfort. A businessman in a rumpled suit shook his head. "I knew something was off." His wife nodded agreement. Their son, maybe 8 years old, stared openly at Kevin with the brutal honesty of childhood curiosity. Kevin's phone buzzed. The screen showed board meeting 2:00 p.m. urgent. He declined the call without looking up. His leather portfolio, handcrafted expensive, remained tucked under his arm like a shield. 7:00 a.m. 30 minutes to boarding. "Sir, are you listening?" Caroline's patience evaporated. "I asked you a question." Kevin's voice came low, measured. "I heard you. Then you'll understand why I need to see additional identification, credit cards, proof of purchase." Around them the terminal hummed with morning chaos. Flight announcements echoed off glass walls. Coffee shops filled with the pre-dawn crowd. But Gate 47 had become a theater, and Kevin was the unwilling star. A woman with silver hair whispered to her companion, "Those people always try to game the system." Her companion nodded knowingly. Their conversation wasn't meant to be private. Kevin positioned his phone carefully, the camera facing outward. His thumb moved across the screen with practiced precision. He was documenting everything. Every word, every face, every witness to his humiliation. 7:05 a.m. Gate supervisor approaches. Janet Rodriguez materialized beside Caroline, her supervisor badge catching the light. "What's the situation here?" "Suspicious first-class passenger," Carolyn explained, her voice carrying newfound authority. "Ticket doesn't match his presentation." Janet's eyes swept Kevin from head to toe. His tailored blazer, his Italian leather shoes, his perfectly knotted tie. None of it registered as belonging in first class. "Not on him. We have protocols," Janet said, her voice official and cold. "For suspicious passenger behavior." Kevin's phone buzzed again. This time he answered. "Not now," he said quietly. "I'm handling a situation at Den." The caller's voice was urgent enough to be heard by nearby passengers. "Should I make the call?" Kevin's response was barely audible. "Not yet." He ended the call and returned to his strategic silence. His cufflinks caught the light again. Those platinum pieces with the mysterious KW monogram that no one seemed to notice. 7:08. Emissary. Security called airport security to Gate 47. Janet announced into her radio. Her voice carried the weight of authority, the promise of escalation. The crowd thickened. Passengers boarding other flights detoured past Gate 47 to witness the spectacle. Phones appeared like flowers blooming in spring. Dozens of them, all recording the same scene from different angles. Kevin stood in the center of it all, a study in controlled composure. His breathing remained steady. His posture spoke of quiet confidence, but his eyes held something else entirely. A family of 4 pressed closer. The father held his phone at eye level, live streaming to his social media. "You're not going to believe what's happening at Denver Airport right now," he narrated to his audience. "They're questioning this black guy's first-class ticket." The comments flooded his screen in real time. Typical airline racism. Call the news. This is why I don't fly. Sue them. Kevin saw none of it. His focus remained laser-sharp on the unfolding drama. He was playing a game whose rules only he understood. 712, a security arrives. Officer Martinez appeared with the efficiency of practiced authority. His uniform commanded immediate respect. His presence shifted the entire dynamic. Passenger Kevin Washington, he read from his notepad. Please step forward. The use of Kevin's full name over the gate area speakers turned every head. 200 passengers now knew his identity. The humiliation was complete and public. I need to see identification. Officer Martinez continued, and I'll need you to empty your pockets. Kevin complied with the calm precision of a man who had expected this moment. His wallet revealed multiple platinum credit cards, a Colorado driver's license, and something else. A black card with minimal text that Officer Martinez studied with growing confusion. Sir, the officer said, his voice suddenly uncertain. This card is mine, Kevin finished quietly. The crowd pressed closer. The phones multiplied. Social media exploded with real-time updates from a dozen different angles. Kevin Washington, successful, dignified, humiliated, had become the unwitting star of a viral moment. But he wasn't fighting back. He wasn't raising his voice. He wasn't demanding justice or respect or basic human dignity. He was waiting. 7:15 a.m. minus final boarding call in 15 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, the gate agent announced, we'll begin boarding first-class passengers shortly. 3 white passengers approached the gate with their boarding passes. No one asked for additional identification. No one questioned their right to be there. No one demanded proof of purchase. Kevin watched it all with the quiet intensity of a man collecting evidence. His phone buzzed one final time. He glanced at the screen, then typed a single message. Execute Protocol 7. The response came immediately. Confirmed. Standing by. Evan slipped the phone into his pocket and adjusted his cufflinks one last time. Those platinum pieces with the KW monogram, the detail everyone kept missing, caught the light like a signal. In 15 minutes, everything would change. 7:15 a.m. final boarding call in 15 minutes. The gate area buzzed with electric tension. Kevin Washington stood at the center of a growing storm, his composure unshakable despite the chaos swirling around him. Officer Martinez studied the mysterious black card again, his confusion deepening. Sir, I've never seen credentials like this. What exactly? It's legitimate, Kevin interrupted gently. His voice carried no anger, no frustration, just quiet certainty. Caroline stepped forward, her authority bolstered by the crowd's attention. Officer, we can't let suspicious passengers board based on fancy cards. Anyone can get those made online. The live streaming father adjusted his phone angle, narrating to his growing audience. The security guard looks confused. Guys, this is getting intense. The airline staff is really pushing this. Comments flooded his screen faster than he could read them. His viewer count climbed past 5,000 and kept rising. 718 a.m. Management escalation. Janet Rodriguez's radio crackled. Supervisor Rodriguez, we have Regional Manager Thompson en route to Gate 47. The announcement sent ripples through the crowd. Regional Manager meant corporate authority. This was escalating beyond simple gate agent discrimination into something bigger. Kevin's phone vibrated with a text message. He glanced at the screen. Protocol 7 ready. Awaiting your signal. He typed back, not yet. Let it build. Businesswoman in designer clothing approached Officer Martinez. Excuse me, but I'm also first class. Do you need to see my identification? The officer looked embarrassed. Ma'am, that won't be necessary. Why not? She pressed. If you're checking everyone's credentials, everyone, Caroline interjected quickly. Just specific situations, the woman's eyebrows rose. Specific how? The question hung in the air like smoke. No one answered. 7:22 a.m. Management Manager arrives. David Thompson appeared with a stride of corporate authority. His expensive suit and no-nonsense demeanor commanded immediate attention. At 45, he carried himself like a man who solved problems with decisive action. What's the situation? He demanded. Caroline launched into her explanation with renewed confidence. Suspicious first-class passenger. Ticket authenticity questionable, refusing to provide adequate verification. Thompson's eyes assessed Kevin with the cold efficiency of corporate risk management. Sir, I'm Regional Manager Thompson. I need to resolve this quickly. We have a schedule to maintain. Kevin's response was measured, calm. I understand your position. Good. Then you'll understand why I need to see proof of purchase for this ticket, credit card statements, receipt, anything that validates this transaction. The crowd pressed closer. The phones multiplied. Social media exploded with real-time updates from a dozen different angles. Kevin reached into his leather portfolio. The movement was deliberate, almost ceremonial. Every eye in the gate area focused on his hands. 7:25 and the documentation moment. Here's what you need, Kevin said, producing a folder. Thompson opened it, expecting to find ticket receipts or credit card statements. Instead, he found something that made his face drain of color. This is, Thompson's voice caught. This can't be right. It's right, Kevin confirmed quietly. Officer Martinez leaned closer to see the documents. His eyes widened. Sir, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Kevin said. This is exactly what I expected to happen. Caroline grabbed the folder from Thompson's hands. Her confident expression crumbled as she read, "Oh my God, oh my God." The live streaming father caught her reaction on camera. Something just happened, guys. The airline people look like they've seen a ghost. 7:28 I'm the power shift. Thompson's corporate composure shattered. Mr. Washington, I had no idea. If I had known. You had no idea because you didn't need to know. Kevin interrupted. You made assumptions based on what you saw, not what you knew. Janet Rodriguez grabbed the folder next. Her hands shook as she read. This is impossible. This has to be fake. Call the corporate office, Kevin suggested calmly. Ask them about Kevin Washington. Ask them about the 2 p.m. board meeting. Ask them about Protocol 7. The crowd sensed the shift in power dynamics. Phones captured every moment as airline authority figures scrambled to understand what they were facing. Caroline's voice came out as a whisper. We need to call this in right now. 7:30 a.m. The corporate call. Thompson's phone call was brief but devastating. His side of the conversation was overheard by dozens of passengers. Yes, I need to verify Kevin Washington. Yes, I'll hold. What? Are you sure? When? Oh God. Oh, he ended the call and looked at Kevin with something approaching terror. Sir, I need to speak with you privately. No, Kevin said firmly. Nothing private, everything public, everything documented. The live streaming father's viewer count passed 10,000. Comments exploded across social media platforms. The story was spreading beyond the gate area, beyond the airport, beyond Denver. Mr. Washington, Thompson began, his voice now respectful, almost pleading. There's been a terrible mistake. No mistake, Kevin replied. This is exactly what I was documenting. 7:32 a.m. The revelation builds. Officer Martinez stepped forward. Sir, I need to apologize. I didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't ask. Kevin interrupted. You assumed, you profiled, you humiliated, all while the cameras were rolling. The crowd was silent now, sensing something massive was about to unfold. The phones remained focused on Kevin, but the energy had shifted completely. Caroline made one last desperate attempt to salvage the situation. If there's been a misunderstanding, we can resolve this quietly. No need for complication. Kevin's smile was cold and precise. Too late for quiet. This is public now, all of it. He pulled out his phone and sent a single text. Execute Protocol 7, full deployment. The response came immediately, confirmed, all systems active. 7:35 a.m. the final escalation. Thompson's phone rang. He answered with shaking hands. Yes, right now, all of them. But that's yes, sir. I understand. He ended the call and looked at Kevin with complete defeat. Mr. Washington, I've been instructed to provide you with full cooperation, whatever you need. What I need, Kevin said quietly, is for this to continue exactly as it has been. No special treatment, no backtracking, no attempts to minimize what happened here. The live streaming father whispered to his audience. Something major is about to go down. This guy isn't just another passenger. He's somebody important. Kevin heard the whisper and turned to face the camera directly. I'm exactly who I appear to be. Nothing more, nothing less. The question is, why did that threaten so many people? 7:37 a.m., the moment before truth. The gate area fell silent. 200 passengers waited. Dozens of phones recorded. Social media buzzed with speculation and outrage. Kevin Washington stood at the center of it all, his composure absolute, his purpose clear. The humiliation was complete. The documentation was thorough. The witnesses were countless. In 3 minutes, everything would change. But first, he had one more call to make. 7:37 of the moment of truth. Kevin Washington pulled out his phone with deliberate precision. The gate area held its collective breath as he dialed a number from memory. "This is Kevin," he said quietly. "Yes, I'm still at gate 47. Execute the full protocol now." The voice on the other end was audible to nearby passengers. "All departments, sir. L departments. And patch me through to the emergency board line. It's time." Thompson's face went ashen. Caroline stepped backward, bumping into a passenger. Officer Martinez looked between his radio and Kevin. Uncertainty written across his features. 7:30 a.m. The portfolio revelation. Kevin ended the call and returned to his leather portfolio. This time he withdrew a different folder, thicker, more official, bearing corporate seals that caught the morning light. "Since you've demanded documentation," he said, his voice carrying new authority, "here's what you need to see." He opened the folder deliberately, allowing the crowd to witness what unfolded. The letterhead was unmistakable. Meridian Airlines corporate headquarters. Thompson's hands trembled as he read the first page. "This can't be real. This has to be some kind of keep reading," Kevin instructed calmly. The live streaming father zoomed in on the documents, his audience now exceeding 15,000 viewers. Comments flooded the screen. "What does it say? I can't see." Someone read it out loud. 7:39 a.m. The identity unveiled. Caroline grabbed the folder from Thompson's hands, her confidence returning. "I don't care what fake documents." Her words died as she read the header. Her face drained of color completely. Evan Washington, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Meridian Airlines. She read aloud, her voice barely audible. The gate area erupted. Passengers gasped. Phones captured every moment of the revelation. The live streaming father's viewer count exploded past 20,000. "That's impossible," Janet Rodriguez stammered. "Meridian doesn't." "This airline isn't checked the tail number on the aircraft," Kevin suggested quietly. N847 MA Meridian Airlines Flight 447 operated under partnership agreement with your carrier. Thompson's phone was already out, fingers flying across the screen. His corporate login revealed the truth in seconds. Oh God, it's true." 7:40 a.m. The corporate hierarchy exposed. The revelation hit the crowd like a physical wave. Every passenger, every airline employee, every witness to the humiliation suddenly understood the magnitude of what they'd witnessed. Kevin Washington wasn't just a passenger. He was the owner. This was his aircraft. These were his employees. This was his airline, and they had just spent 43 minutes publicly humiliating their own CEO. Officer Martinez stepped forward, his authority evaporating. "Sir, I had no idea. If I had known." "You had no idea because you didn't need to know," Kevin replied. "You made your judgments based on my appearance, not my identity." The live streaming father's narration became frantic. "Holy guys. Holy this black man they've been harassing. He owns the airline. He's the CEO." Comments exploded across every social media platform. "Lawsuit incoming. They are all fired. This is insane. Best plot twist ever. Manson's arrest took place in jail." 7:41 a.m. The strategic revelation. Kevin's phone buzzed with an incoming call. He answered on speaker, his voice carrying across the silent gate area. "Kevin, it's Sarah from legal. We've been monitoring the situation. How do you want to proceed?" "Full documentation protocol," Kevin replied calmly. "Every witness statement, every video, every piece of evidence. I want complete records of this incident already in progress. We have 17 different camera angles from passenger phones, plus airport security footage. The live stream has been archived." Caroline's knees buckled. She gripped the counter for support. "This isn't happening. This can't be happening." "It's happening," Kevin confirmed. "And it's being documented by thousands of witnesses." 742 aim minimum the systemic exposure. Kevin turned to face the crowd directly. His voice carried the authority of absolute power combined with righteous purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just witnessed something important. You've seen how quickly bias and discrimination can escalate when people make assumptions based on appearance. The gate area was silent except for the clicking of phone cameras. This incident will be thoroughly investigated. Not just the individual actions, but the systemic failures that made this possible. Thompson fell into a chair, his career flashing before his eyes. "Mr. Washington, please, there has to be a way to resolve this." Quietly, quietly. Kevin's eyebrows rose. "You mean like how you handled the last 43 minutes quietly?" 7:43, the evidence compilation. Kevin's phone buzzed with another call. He answered immediately. "Kevin, it's Michael from Communications. The story is already trending on 6 platforms. Meridian CEO is #1 trending on Twitter. The footage is everywhere." "Expected," Kevin replied. "How many views combined across all platforms?" "Over 2 million and climbing. This is going global." Caroline began crying. Not tears of remorse, but tears of self-preservation. "I didn't know, I was just doing my job." "Your job," Kevin said quietly, "was to treat passengers with dignity and respect. Your job was to check tickets, not judge worthiness." 7:44 a.m. The retained secret. Kevin looked at his watch, that expensive Peck Fipe that no one had bothered to notice. "I have a board meeting in 6 hours, but first I need to make one more call." He dialed a number, putting the phone on speaker again. "This is Kevin. Initiate code red protocol. I want every department head in conference room A in exactly 4 hours." "Code red confirmed," came the response. "All senior management will be present." "Good. And patch me through to the Federal Aviation Administration liaison. We need to discuss some regulatory compliance issues." Thompson's face went gray. "FAA, Mr. Washington. Surely we can handle this internally." "Can we?" Kevin asked. "Because from where I'm standing, this looks like a systemic failure that requires federal oversight." 7:45 aim. The power revelation. The crowd pressed closer as Kevin continued his methodical demolition of the airline's authority structure. "You see," he explained to the captivated audience, "this isn't just about one incident. This is about a pattern of behavior that's been documented and reported multiple times." He pulled out his phone and scrolled through files. Gate Agent Matthews has 17 formal complaints filed against her in the past 18 months, all involving passengers of color, all dismissed by management. Caroline's crying intensified. "Those complaints were unfounded. I was just following procedures. Procedures that I never authorized," Kevin replied. "Procedures that violate federal anti-discrimination laws." 7:46 a.m. Eastern. The ultimate reveal. Kevin's phone rang one final time. He answered with the calm of a man who had orchestrated every moment of this encounter. "Kevin, it's the board secretary. Emergency session is confirmed. All members are standing by." "Good, and Sarah?" "Yes, sir. Make sure the press office is ready. We'll be issuing a statement within the hour." The live streaming father's audience had exploded to over 50,000 viewers. His narration was breathless. "This is the most insane thing I've ever witnessed." The CEO of the airline was discriminated against by his own employees, and now he's systematically destroying their careers in real time. 747 AYEMM. The final power play. Kevin closed his portfolio and adjusted his cufflinks one last time, those platinum pieces with a KW monogram. Kevin Washington finally made sense to everyone watching. "Ladies and gentlemen," he addressed the crowd, "you've participated in something historic today. You've documented institutional racism in real time. You've provided evidence that will create lasting change." He turned to Thompson, Caroline, and the assembled airline staff. "You have 1 hour to prepare your statements. Legal will be in touch shortly." The power dynamic had shifted completely. The man they'd humiliated now held absolute authority over their futures. But Kevin Washington wasn't finished. As he walked toward the first-class boarding line where he had always belonged, he made one final call. "This is Kevin. Execute the full corporate review. I want every customer service interaction from the past 6 months analyzed. Every complaint, every incident, every moment where someone might have felt what I felt today. Understood, sir. Full systemic audit. Full systemic audit. And schedule a press conference for this afternoon. It's time the world knew what really happened at Gate 47. Please read this section, and let me know if you'd like any adjustments before we continue to Part 5. 2:00 p.m. Meridian Airlines Corporate Headquarters Conference Room. The mahogany table stretched like a battlefield. 17 executives sat in leather chairs, their faces grave. Kevin Washington entered with the measured pace of absolute authority, his white shirt now replaced with a charcoal suit that commanded respect. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "6 hours ago I was publicly humiliated by our own employees. Today we address the systemic failures that made that possible." The room was silent except for the hum of recording equipment. Everything would be documented. 2:02 p.m. The evidence presentation. Kevin activated the wall-mounted display. The first image was devastating. Caroline Matthews pointing at him, her face twisted with contempt, while dozens of passengers recorded the encounter. "This is how your employees treat your CEO," he said quietly. "But more importantly, this is how they treat passengers who look like me." The next slide showed statistics that made executives shift uncomfortably. 847 discrimination complaints filed in 18 months, 67% involving passengers of color. 23% increase in bias incidents. Year over year, only 12% of complaints resulted in disciplinary action. "These numbers represent system failure," Kevin continued, "not individual mistakes. System failure." CFO Margaret Chen raised her hand tentatively. "Kevin, the financial implications of this incident are massive," he finished. "Let me show you exactly how massive." 2:05 p.m. The financial devastation. "Can you trace every event for the next slide?" made the room gasp collectively. Projected financial impact. Federal discrimination lawsuit exposure $847 million. Class action potential $1,200 million. 18% decline. Annual revenue at risk $340 million. Regulatory fines, probable sales bond, $67 million. $0. This morning's incident has been viewed 4.2 million times across social media platforms, Kevin continued. The hashtag #MeridianCo is trending in 43 countries. Operations Chief David Morrison leaned forward. "Kevin, we can issue an apology. Implement immediate training. This doesn't have to destroy the company." Kevin's response was ice cold. "David, how many times have we issued apologies? How many training programs have we implemented? How many promises have we made?" He clicked to the next slide. A timeline of previous incidents, each accompanied by corporate promises of change that never materialized. 2:08 p.m. The systemic rot exposed. "Let me read you some internal communications," Kevin said, pulling up email screenshots that made executives cringe. From Gate Supervisor Janet Rodriguez to Regional Manager Thompson. "Need to watch these upgrade passengers more carefully. You know the type." From Caroline Matthews to colleague. "Another suspicious first class. I swear they're getting bolder with these scams." From Training Director Lisa Park, "Discrimination training can be reduced to online modules. Most gate agents won't need the full program." The room was deadly quiet. Legal counsel Sarah Mitchell spoke first. "Kevin, these communications create massive liability. If they're discovered in litigation, they've already been discovered," Kevin replied. "By our own investigation. Every email, every text, every casual conversation that created this culture of bias." 2:12 p.m. The ultimatum. Kevin stood at the head of the table, his presence commanding absolute attention. "Here's what's going to happen today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today." The executives leaned forward, knowing their careers hung in the balance. "First, Caroline Matthews, Janet Rodriguez, and David Thompson are terminated immediately. Full termination, no severance, permanent industry blacklisting." Kevin HR Director Patricia Williams interjected. "The legal ramifications of immediate termination without are minimal compared to keeping employees who create federal liability." Kevin cut her off. "They're gone. Non-negotiable." 2:15 p.m. The corporate overhaul. Kevin clicked to his reform presentation, each slide more comprehensive than the last. Second, every customer-facing employee, all 14,000 of them, will complete mandatory 40-hour bias elimination training within 60 days. Not online modules, in-person intensive documented training. CFO Chin calculated quickly. Kevin, that's $560,000 training hours. The cost alone, $57 million, Kevin finished. Less than we'll pay in a single discrimination settlement. Third, we're implementing real-time bias detection technology, AI monitoring of all customer interactions, immediate intervention protocols, monthly bias incident reporting to the board, operations. Chief Morrison looked skeptical. The technology costs, the implementation timeline are already approved. I authorized the expenditure this morning. Deployment begins Monday to 18 p.m. The accountability measures. Kevin's next slide showed a new organizational chart that restructured the entire company hierarchy. Fourth, we're creating a new Chief Diversity Officer position reporting directly to me. Starting salary, $400,000 annually, plus performance bonuses tied to bias reduction metrics. Fifth, executive compensation is now tied to discrimination metrics. Every senior manager's bonus will be reduced by 10% for each substantiated bias complaint in their department. The executives exchanged worried glances. Their personal wealth was now directly connected to treating customers with dignity. Sixth, monthly all-hands meetings where bias incidents are discussed openly. No more internal cover-ups. No more quiet dismissals. No more protecting employees who damage our reputation. 2:22 p.m. The legal framework. Legal counsel Sarah Mitchell pulled up federal regulations on her tablet. Kevin, we need to discuss compliance requirements. The FAA has specific guidelines about discrimination reporting. Already handled, Kevin replied. I spoke with FAA Administrator Patricia Johnson an hour ago. We're implementing voluntary enhanced reporting that exceeds federal requirements. What does that mean? She asked nervously. It means every bias incident gets reported to federal authorities within 24 hours. Every complaint, every investigation, every resolution, complete transparency. The room absorbed the magnitude of this commitment. No other airline in the industry maintains such stringent self-reporting standards. 2:25 p.m. The industry precedent. Kevin activated the conference room's video connection. I've invited some observers to this meeting. 3 screens came alive showing executives from competing airlines who had been watching the morning's incident unfold across social media. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the leadership teams from United, Delta, and American Airlines. They're here because what happened today affects the entire industry. United's CEO spoke first. Kevin, the video this morning was disturbing, but industry-wide changes based on one incident. Your incentive. Kevin's voice carried dangerous quiet. Sarah, show them the compilation. Legal counsel Mitchell activated a presentation showing discrimination incidents across all major carriers over the past 2 years. The evidence was overwhelming and systemic. This isn't one incident, Kevin continued. This is an industry crisis that I'm going to solve starting with my own company. 2:28 p.m. The competitive advantage. Here's what you don't understand. Kevin addressed both his executives and the competing airline leaders. Dignity isn't just moral imperative, it's competitive advantage. He clicked to market research data that made everyone lean forward. 73% of travelers avoid airlines with discrimination controversies. $2.4 billion in annual revenue lost to bias boycott. 89% of passengers willing to pay premium for guaranteed dignity service. Millennials and Gen Z travelers most likely to change carriers over discrimination issues. While you're defending bias, I'm going to market dignity. While you're minimizing incidents, I'm going to eliminate them. While you're protecting problem employees, I'm going to attract the best talent in the industry. 2:30 p.m. The final ultimatum. Kevin stood and addressed his executive team with the authority of absolute power. You have 48 hours to decide if you want to be part of this transformation or obstacles to it. Anyone who questions these changes, delays implementation, or attempts to minimize this incident will be replaced immediately. The choice is simple: lead this change or be replaced by people who will. He gathered his materials and walked toward the door, then paused. Final thought. This morning, I was humiliated by my own employees in front of millions of witnesses. But I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because no passenger ever again should feel what I felt at Gate 47. The meeting is adjourned. Implementation begins immediately. Please read this section and let me know if you'd like any adjustments before we continue to Part 6. 3:30 p.m. The terminations. Caroline Matthews sat in HR Director Patricia Williams' office. Her airline badge and access cards spread across the desk like evidence of a life dismantled. Effective immediately, your employment with Meridian Airlines is terminated, Williams read from the official document. For cause violation of company anti-discrimination policies, creation of hostile environment, and conduct detrimental to corporate reputation. Caroline's voice was barely a whisper. I have a mortgage, student loans. I can't just your actions this morning have been viewed 6.7 million times, Williams continued. The company cannot retain employees who create federal liability and public relations disasters. The termination letter was comprehensive and devastating. No severance pay, no references, no possibility of rehire within the airline industry. Janet Rodriguez received identical treatment 30 minutes later. David Thompson's termination meeting lasted longer due to his seniority, but the outcome was identical. 3 careers ended in a single afternoon. Odd 4:15 p.m. The public announcement. Kevin Washington stood before a packed press conference at Denver International Airport. Reporters from CNN, NBC, ABC, and international outlets filled the room. Camera crews jostled for position. This morning I experienced discrimination that no passenger should ever face, he began. But I'm not here to discuss my personal experience. I'm here to announce systemic changes that will prevent this from happening to anyone else. He outlined the comprehensive reform package with precision. Effective immediately, Meridian Airlines is implementing the most aggressive anti-discrimination program in aviation history. $57 million in bias elimination training, real-time AI monitoring of customer interactions, executive compensation tied to dignity metrics. A reporter from the Washington Post raised her hand. Mr. Washington, critics might say you're overreacting to a single incident. Ma'am, let me show you why this isn't overreaction. It's overdue. 4:20 p.m. The data revelation. Kevin activated the presentation screen behind him. The statistics were devastating. 847 discrimination complaints filed against Meridian in 18 months. 1,247 complaints filed against all major carriers combined. Average resolution time 147 days. Percentage resulting in meaningful change 7%. These numbers represent systematic failure across the entire industry, Kevin continued. Today that changes. A CNN reporter leaned forward. What makes you think your reforms will succeed where others have failed? Because I experienced the problem firsthand, because I documented it thoroughly, and because I have absolute authority to implement solutions immediately. 4:25. The technology solution. Kevin introduced Dr. Sarah Kim, MIT professor of artificial intelligence and the newly appointed chief technology officer for bias detection. Dr. Kim has developed real-time monitoring systems that identify discriminatory language and behavior as it occurs. Kevin explained, every customer interaction will be analyzed for bias indicators. Immediate intervention protocols activate when problems are detected. Dr. Kim demonstrated the system live. The AI analyzes vocal patterns, word choices, body language captured by security cameras, and passenger feedback in real time. Supervisors receive alerts within seconds of potential bias incidents. A reporter from Reuters asked, "What about privacy concerns? Employee monitoring?" Employees who treat customers with dignity have nothing to fear from monitoring, Kevin replied. Employees who discriminate should fear immediate termination. 4:30 p.m. The industry impact. Kevin's phone buzzed with a call from United Airlines CEO. He answered on speaker. "Kevin, it's Michael. I've been watching your press conference. United wants to license your bias detection technology. That's encouraging, Michael. What prompted this sudden interest in dignity?" Our stock dropped 4% this afternoon. Investors are nervous about discrimination liability across the entire industry. Kevin smiled. Market forces are powerful motivators for moral behavior. Delta's CEO called minutes later with a similar request. Then American Airlines. The entire industry was scrambling to avoid being left behind in the dignity revolution. 4:35 p.m. The employee response. Kevin's phone displayed real-time employee feedback from Meridian's internal communication system from pilot Maria Santos. Finally, leadership that matches our values from gate agent Jerome Williams. Proud to work for a company that takes discrimination seriously. From flight attendant Lisa Chen, "This is why I chose Meridian. Thank you for protecting all of us." Not every response was positive. Some employees questioned the overreaction and worried about excessive monitoring. Those responses were noted and flagged for additional training. 4:40 p.m. The passenger impact. The live streaming father from Gate 47, Marcus Johnson, joined the press conference via video link. His morning footage had sparked the global conversation. "Mr. Washington, I recorded your humiliation this morning because it was wrong, but I never expected it would lead to industry-wide change. Marcus, your documentation was crucial. Without witnesses, discrimination often gets dismissed or minimized. You ensured that couldn't happen." Marcus continued. "My daughter asked me why those people were mean to you. I didn't have a good answer. Now I can tell her that sometimes bad things lead to important changes." 4:45 p.m. The financial vindication. CFO Margaret Chen provided real-time market analysis. Despite initial concerns about reform costs, Meridian stock has risen 12% since the morning incident. Investors are responding positively to proactive discrimination prevention. The market recognizes that dignity is profitable, Kevin observed. Companies that treat customers fairly outperform companies that defend bias. Additionally, we've received inquiries from pension funds and ESG investors who want to increase their Meridian holdings specifically because of today's reforms. 4:50 p.m. The cultural transformation. Kevin addressed the final question from NBC. How do you ensure these changes become permanent, not just temporary responses to bad publicity? By making dignity profitable and discrimination expensive. By monitoring continuously rather than responding reactively. By promoting leaders who demonstrate bias awareness and removing leaders who perpetuate discrimination. Most importantly, by remembering that every passenger deserves the respect I was denied this morning. When that becomes automatic, when that becomes cultural instinct, then we've succeeded. 4:55 p.m. The personal victory. As the press conference ended, Kevin received a call from his assistant. "Kevin, Caroline Matthews just called. She wants to apologize personally." "Too late for apologies," Kevin replied. "Time for consequences." The intellectual victory was complete. Not through revenge or retaliation, but through systematic transformation that would prevent future humiliation for countless passengers. Justice served through institutional change rather than personal destruction. Please read this section and let me know if you'd like any adjustments before we continue to the final part 7. 6 months later, the transformation. Meridian Airlines discrimination incidents dropped 89% within 6 months. A company that had humiliated its own CEO became the industry standard for passenger dignity. Dr. Sarah Kim's AI monitoring system detected and prevented 287 potential bias incidents before they escalated. Other airlines licensed the technology, creating industry-wide improvement. What started as one man's humiliation became aviation's dignity revolution. Kevin Washington's morning at Gate 47 sparked congressional hearings on airline discrimination. The Department of Transportation implemented new federal requirements based on Meridian's voluntary standards. An industry changed because one man refused to accept injustice quietly. The individual consequences. Caroline Matthews never worked in aviation again. Her termination for discrimination became public record, searchable by any potential employer. The career she built through bias ended in a single morning. She attempted to sue for wrongful termination. The lawsuit was dismissed when courts were reviewed the documented evidence of her discriminatory behavior. The judge noted that employees who create federal liability cannot claim wrongful termination protection. Jeanette Rodriguez faced similar consequences. David Thompson lost his executive position and struggled to find comparable employment. Their careers ended not through vindictive revenge, but through natural consequences of documented discrimination. The corporate legacy. Meridian Airlines became the most diverse major carrier in America. Employee satisfaction scores reached industry highs. Customer loyalty increased 34%. Stock price rose 67% over 6 months. Kevin's reforms attracted top talent from competitors. Pilots, flight attendants, and executives sought positions at the airline that prioritized dignity over bias. Market forces rewarded moral leadership. Sam Mitchell's granddaughter, Lucille, expected moral lead. The company's bias prevention program became a Harvard Business School case study. Kevin lectured at universities about transforming humiliation into systematic change. His story inspired leaders across industries to examine their own discriminatory practices. The social impact. Marcus Johnson's live stream footage became part of civil rights curriculum in schools nationwide. Students studied how modern technology documents discrimination and creates accountability. The Meridian CEO evolved into Dignity First, a movement encouraging passengers to document and report bias incidents across all service industries. Hotels, restaurants, and retail chains implemented similar monitoring systems. Evan received the NAACP Corporate Leadership Award for advancing civil rights through business transformation. The ceremony honored not his individual success, but his systematic approach to eliminating institutional bias. The personal growth. Kevin Washington transformed from victim to catalyst. His quiet power during humiliation became legendary leadership during transformation. He proved that true strength lies not in avoiding discrimination, but in using it to create lasting change. The platinum cuff links with KW monogram, overlooked during his humiliation, became symbols of hidden strength. Kevin wore them to every board meeting, every press conference, every moment when quiet dignity needed to speak louder than anger. His morning at Gate 47 taught America that assumptions about appearance create real consequences. His afternoon in the boardroom taught corporate America that bias is expensive and dignity is profitable. The continuing mission. Today, Kevin Washington continues leading Meridian Airlines with unwavering commitment to passenger dignity. Every policy, every training program, every executive decision reflects lessons learned during 43 minutes of public humiliation. The company's motto, adopted after the incident, reads simply, "Every passenger deserves respect." Those words appear on every boarding pass, every gate display, every employee handbook. They serve as permanent reminders that dignity cannot be assumed. It must be actively protected. Your voice matters. Have you witnessed discrimination that needs addressing? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters in creating change. Document injustice when you see it. Speak up when others stay silent. Demand dignity when systems fail. Subscribe for more stories of people turning humiliation into transformation. Together, we can build a world where respect isn't determined by appearance, where dignity isn't debatable, where justice comes through systematic change rather than individual revenge. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't defined by others' prejudices. Sometimes the most powerful response to discrimination is proving that character, competence, and quiet strength always triumph over bias.